Hello and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Our Promise Live. I am Our Promise's Senior Director, Tabitha Angel, and I'm so excited to be here today to introduce representatives from two of our very large departments that have made a huge difference for nonprofits in 2020, California Highway Patrol and California Health and Human Services Agency. So welcome. I'm really excited to have you guys both here. So I want to, talk a little bit about some numbers that happened last year in the middle of a pandemic. And CHP, I'll start out with your numbers a little bit. You guys always seem to rise to the occasion of always bringing in lots of dollars for nonprofits. In 2020, you raised over $485,000. And in 2019, it was almost $550,000. So lots of dollars raised to give back to nonprofits, and always seem to be the #1 department bringing in the most amount of money. But with Health and Human Services Agency and your 19 departments, you raised a ton of funds as well. In 2020, you guys raised altogether with your 19 departments over $550,000 in 2020, and in 2019, over $620,000. So lots of money giving back to our community and where we work and where we live. So really excited just to see all the work that you guys are doing, and want to hear a little bit more why you are both so successful. So with that being said, hi, Sergeant Justin Roberts is here with us today from California Highway Patrol. How are you?
Good afternoon, Tabitha. I'm doing well.
Awesome. I want to, talk to you a little bit about why do you think California Highway Patrol does so well with the Our Promise campaign?
Well, being a law enforcement agency, we've got something on our side that most other agencies in California or departments in California don't have, is that we are instructed to follow orders. So when we're told to fill out that sheet and turn it in, we fill it out and we turn it in every time.
Definitely. And I think that does help. I also think you also have something on your side that not every state department and agency has, and that is that you have a few nonprofit organizations that directly impact your employees. For example, the CHP 1199 Foundation and the CHP Widows and Orphans Trust Fund.
Absolutely. Those two organizations probably make up, I would estimate, obviously I haven't seen the numbers, but probably makes up the bulk of donations. And because it directly contributes to the families of fallen officers and fallen uniform employees and contributes to the welfare of those closest to us, I think that's a great incentive for our employees to donate.
Definitely. And the CHP 1199 Foundation, is one of the top organizations that's, designated in the state of California. And it is definitely your top organization that your employees give back to. And that's an easy yes, in a sense that, employees, why not? Why would you not give back to an organization that directly impacts you and your families and your work family as well? But I think it's important that people should know that the CHP 1199 Foundation is not only just for fallen officers, but they also do an amazing scholarship program as well, correct?
Absolutely. I happen to benefit from that scholarship program when I was growing up as well, along with my siblings, and the ability to gain some funding to contribute to college costs was very, very useful for me and for all CHP employees that apply.
And I didn't know that until we had a fellow CHP officer who worked with us on the campaign, and his children were directly benefiting from it. And I thought that's an awesome way for the foundation, the 1199 Foundation, to give back, not just for, of course, it's amazing what they do for fallen officers and things like that, but, benefiting the future of CHP families, and, children are our future. So I think that's a really great benefit as well.
Absolutely. The foundation works hand in hand with not just the officers themselves and sergeants, but the entire CHP family. So I know, as I said, growing up, I was a recipient of two of the scholarships, and I know my sister was a recipient of one. And those scholarships are available every single year, which really contributes to the sense of family in feeling as though you're being taken care of. It's more than just a job.
Great. Thank you, Sergeant Roberts. I really appreciate it. And that's awesome to hear that you directly benefited as well. So I think that's really important for people to hear. So thank you for sharing that. Over to Health and Human Services. So you guys are one of the largest agencies in the State Department with over 19 departments underneath you. I've worked with you guys for a really long time and just love to see what you do with the campaign every single year. And Eva, I know you worked on it last year and it was a huge change last year, right? We went from having to these big agency fairs and, all of this stuff happening. You were one of the co-chairs for California Health and Human Services, and we went online last year. So lots changed last year. And now you're chairing it again this year with Harminder. So both of you, welcome. I'm so glad to have you both here. I was hoping that you both can talk a little bit about maybe why, you would say what was the key thing to your department, the agency specifically, winning most improved small department, because the agency really only has 30 to 45 employees. They're not like some of the other big state departments that are underneath you.
Right. Well, first of all, thank you for inviting us to join the Facebook Live session today. It is quite different from what we're used to, not having the annual kickoff event here, well, at our previous building in the atrium event. But I think that the key for us was providing the right and necessary resources to our staff. At the start of our campaign, we sent out, email blasts to all staff, letting them know that the Our Promise campaign has started. I think just staying connected throughout the campaign by sending frequent emails and sharing information on different nonprofits and having like a specific individual to assist with registering and answering questions was a big help in spreading the word and encouraging, the state workers to donate, which I felt kind of led to CHS winning the most improved small department last year.
Definitely. And then, I think you hit it on the head with about, making sure that everyone was engaged and that everyone, was aware of the campaign and having a key individual being able to answer questions, since everything was so new last year with us going online and we weren't doing paper anymore. So there were lots of questions that came up, like, how do I get on? How do I register? What do I do? So I think that's really important in being successful, is having, a key individual, whether that's in your units or your divisions, making sure that someone's available for questions and be able to have a point of contact person, especially when you can't just walk to somebody's cubicle next door or down the way or down on another floor and say, hey, I've got some questions, or how do I fill this out, or what do I do? So I think, that's a really key piece in, and providing the resources. We didn't have physical materials really last year because, now we're on a hybrid schedule, but everybody last year, we were pretty much fully remote. So providing those key, virtual and digital resources, I definitely think was a huge piece of it. So Harminder, did you have anything to add? I mean, now running the campaign this year, do you have any like big keys to success as far as like making that campaign successful? You're on mute, sorry. See if it comes off.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you for having us. I would say for us, it was starting everything off with the campaign was our big email blast that we sent out to our staff, letting them know that our Promise campaign has started, and we had provided instructions on how to register through the Cal Employee Connect, and our focus was on educating what is our promise and providing the necessary information, and involving our executive staff in supporting everyone throughout the campaign, reminding everyone that every donation helps, every donation counts, every donation makes a difference, even the smallest amount does help those that need it the most. And we want it to be the difference in change and support and giving back. And I think this has been what has made CHHS the most improved department for 2020. And for that, I'd like to say thank you to all.
Yeah, and you brought up a really good point about executive support, and I think that's also, not only you guys, but CHP being successful as well, and having their commissioner, be super supportive of the campaign. She's always been a great supporter of the campaign, but I know that Secretary Galley has always been supportive of the campaign, and we were very lucky to have one of our promised chair be the California Surgeon General, Dr. Nadine Burke-Harris, who is within agency, who lives at agency. So we were really grateful to have her and have her support. She's very passionate. I mean, she runs her own nonprofit, but she's very passionate about giving back. And I really think also you guys were kind of in the middle of, your departments were directly affected by the pandemic. Your departments that were within your agency were really seeing the pandemic hit not only at a state level, national level, but at a community level as well. Your different departments that live under your agency directly were affected by that. And I think that was a huge piece of it as well. But your executive support has always been really top notch as far as like sending out communications, coming to the agency fair and the kickoffs and the events. And, that's really important in state service, is having that support from the top down. I know that's not only why your agency, but the departments that are under your agency. I've seen it in other departments. I've given other presentations at the other different health departments, and it's always very successful because of the executive support. So we were really, thankful and grateful for all of the executive support, and them, realizing and acknowledging how important this campaign is. I wanted to get another question from maybe both, all of you on this call. So anybody who wants to answer first. But, you guys know what it's like to be successful. The different keys, the different things, what works, what doesn't work, maybe. But, what would be your advice to give to other departments to have a successful Our Promise campaign? Sergeant Roberts, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I will. I think one of the keys for us was keeping it simple. We've got our own challenges that other departments are not going to realize, in that a good proportion of our membership is not even at an office all day long. They're out on the roads, they're out on the highways. So there's a very limited amount of time for anybody to get together to have an event or talk about situations like this. So keeping it very simple, giving them information out there and giving them digital resources that they could fall back on to learn more information if they want to, or instruct them how to speedily get the process done, was the key to our continuing on with fulfilling our obligations.
And I think that's a great point, is really recognizing, like, your department's culture, essentially. Like, are you a department that is fully in the office? Are you a department that is hybrid? What is your department? How do people react to certain things? And, CHP, you guys being a very field-based department, and, that was always the challenge, even when we had paper, because you're also on different shifts. You're not a normal, state employee that's 8 to 5, you have night shifts, etc. So I think that's really recognizing that and keeping it simple and making it easy and accessible for your employees is a very key part to your success.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head there, especially with the different shift work. So I know there was a large portion of when I was working that there was an entire half of an office that I never saw. So being able to have those simple tools, what we did was put a splash banner up with instructions and links on the intranet page for our department, and very simple, very quick and easy to do, but provides exactly what's needed.
Perfect. That's great feedback. Thank you, Sergeant Roberts. And then over to you guys, and you guys managing and overseeing so many departments. I feel like we like to say that you guys like always have it in the bag, and you're just, you guys are just a powerhouse in the sense that the wheel's constantly always moving, and, we don't really have to manage you guys much because you guys kind of got it nailed down. But, what would be some of your advice, to others?
Yeah, I think, with everything that went on last year, we didn't get to do, the whole visual, like posting the posters, around our building. And, that's kind of how we spread the word about the I Promise. But I think what worked for us last year was, educating what our promise was via email and staying connected that way, and, providing a step-by-step on how to register your account through Cal Employee Connect, and just providing them with the resources that, would help them get along, from accessing Cal Employee Connect to creating their account, and, providing them with information on nonprofit organizations and what their dollar buys.
Awesome. Hi, welcome, Lieutenant Reyna. I'll be with you in 1 second. Welcome. Thanks for coming and joining us. Harminder, do you have any advice, like, working for the agency, and any, advice to give to other departments, and now going through this campaign season? Would you have any advice for state departments?
I would pretty much, just tag on to what Eva says, just mainly being a support system for them, and guiding them through, and trying to help them with, anything you can during the Our Promise campaign, and being that leader and being that support, and for departments knowing that they have somebody that they can reach out to, I think has helped us along the way.
Awesome. Well, Lieutenant Reyna is from the California Highway Patrol. Thank you so much for joining us. We're happy to have you here. Sergeant Roberts has given us some great feedback on why CHP has been so successful in the past. We talked a lot about the CHP 1199 Foundation and the California Widows and Orphans, and those, being two major organizations that directly, affect your department and your employees, and how, it's kind of it's a win right there, an easy yes to be able to give back to an organization that directly feeds back to you. And, whether that's your work family, that's your individual personal family. We talked a little bit about that, but, I would want to ask you, why do you think, CHP does so well with the Our Promise campaign?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for having this Facebook Live event, and thank you for inviting the California Highway Patrol. I apologize for being late, but that happens when, 11 to 12, and then I try to race over here and get here as quickly as possible.
That's okay.
Sergeant Roberts, Justin's an awesome dude, an awesome sergeant, an awesome individual, and I'm sure he provided lots of great information that you all were able to benefit from. Now, as you mentioned in our call we had the other day, Tabitha, with the California Highway Patrol, we are a unique organization, as was said, right? And a lot of it is we have to owe it to our cadets, and I say cadets at the time that are now officers, because that's where kind of all the ball starts to get rolling. There is in the academy with our cadets, and then they become officers, and then from there, it kind of goes out. We do have over 11,000 employees. And as we did this year with the 2021 campaign, we ensured that 100% of the employees are made aware of, and I don't just mean gently, I mean, they have to affirm that they are aware of the Our Promise campaign one way or another. So I can assure you that somewhere down the line, we have 11,000 emails, or 11,000, there's a roster with every employee that says, I am aware of the Our Promise campaign. I am aware that we can give. I am currently giving. We make a big deal out of the presentations that we give with regard to the certificates for those top donors.
Yeah.
And not only that, some areas, divisions will go out and have the Our Promise speakers come out and speak to them, or the different charity speakers come out and speak to them as well. So I think all that has attributed to the CHP doing so well. And Sergeant Roberts and I get to relish in that, because we come on this year, and this is what people have been doing since the Our Promise campaign has started. So we're very fortunate to be a part of that legacy that the Highway Patrol has had over the years.
Yeah, and he mentioned just being a law enforcement, agency, and things are just done a little differently. And it's not necessarily a gentle hand, but it's like either you are going to sign up or you're not. And here is, what happens. And and that all starts at the cadet level, which is, a really great opportunity. And most people don't recognize that it's just a rollover campaign. So that donation follows you as long as you are in state service. So in your guys' case, in the highway patrol, like it follows you through service. So from being from a cadet, going up through rank and, going and being into an officer, and that it will follow you for life. I know a lot of retired CHP who still, very passionate about the 1199 Foundation and continue to give back to the 1199 Foundation. And Sergeant Roberts gave us a great example about how he benefited from the scholarships that 1199 Foundation as a child. So that was really great to hear. And because I want people to know that there's other, their 1199 Foundation, does many things besides just for fallen officers, but they also provide scholarships and other things like that. And I think that's how it directly benefits and correlates with your department.
Yeah, and I think that helps as well, as you said, with and Justin's right about the scholarships, is that helps with the officers that are out donating, or the employees, because they're not all officers. We have a number of non-uniformed as well, that they have that direct correlation to that. But I know for some of our major donors, they reach out across the spectrum. I mean, our promise has something for everybody. There is nothing that, if for whatever reason you don't like dogs but you like cats, well, then you go to the Feline Foundation. If you don't like cats and you like dogs, then there's a canine. I mean, there's every single type of foundation out there for the Our Promise. And as a whole, I want to say that not only the Highway Patrol, but the California employees, the state of California employees as a whole, give a lot of money. And it's out of the goodness of their heart, because no one's making them do that. Maybe they're making them look into Our Promise, but as far as their decision to be generous with the limited funds that everybody has, that they are setting some aside for the charity. And this even goes through even with my family. I've told my kids, you save some, you spend some, you give some away, and that's our motto to do with money. And it's what you should do. In my opinion, you always got to save for your family. You got to spend some on your family, and then you also have to remember that there's people out there that are in need.
Yes, and thank you for really recognizing that there's just so many options. And that was also the great benefit of Health and Human Services always did this massive kickoff agency fair in their lobby area, in their huge building that they used to be in, but they would feature so many different nonprofits. With each of their departments got to sponsor a nonprofit, and it was always really interesting to see who they would pick to sponsor, because you always got to learn about a new nonprofit. Whenever I think that there's probably not that kind of nonprofit out there, there is. Something always comes up and pops up, and that's why I always let people know about this, which is a really good opportunity, is that you have the option to give to any 501c3 nonprofit of your choice. And the options really are endless. We may have 1,800 on our website and 1,800 nonprofits listed in our booklet, but it doesn't stop there. Just because they're not listed in our booklet, you really can give back to any nonprofit of your choice. And we really couldn't do any of this work without all of you, all of our state employees and our campaign volunteers. So I just really want to thank all of you for being here today and just offering your advice and offering your words of wisdom of running very successful campaigns. I think it's important for other state departments and agencies to hear that, you can be successful in this virtual world, and that, why state employees are so passionate. So I'm really grateful for all of you here today on this call. So thank you again for being here. And now we are going to draw a name for our prize drawing. So give us just a few minutes here. We're going to pull up that wheel and see who we pick. So it's going to spin. It's going. So it's Miranmoy Duda from the Employee Development Department, EDD, and her favorite nonprofit is Red Rover. So thank you so much. We will be in touch, and we will go ahead and send you an email to confirm your prize pack. Thank you again, Health and Human Services Agency, and thank you so much, California Highway Patrol. We really appreciate you all being here today. And definitely check us out at ourpromiseca.org if you have any questions. And everybody have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you.